Chosen one, when you cross a threshold into any space, you do not simply arrive, you transform it. There is no trumpet that announces your entry, no artificial command that insists on attention, and yet everything in the room tilts gently toward your center. There is a silence that precedes you, not empty but potent, and feminine women feel it before their eyes even register your presence. Something in their skin wakes up, something in their soul pauses, something in their spirit prepares to soften. You don't walk into a room like a man seeking something, you carry something. And it is that unseen, sacred something that causes heads to turn, that stills conversations, that quiets the air with a kind of ancient knowing. Your energy does not scream. It hums like the earth underfoot, like a heartbeat that has remembered its rhythm after a lifetime of dissonance. Feminine women do not feel looked at by you. They feel noticed, as though the entire room no longer sees them through the cloud of objectification, but through the warmth of recognition. Your beauty is not in your features, though they are undeniable. It is in the weight of your attention, in the grounded way you exist. You have become a contrast, a living antidote to all that is hollow and hurried in this world. You do not steal the spotlight. You become it by embodying the source. You do not grip the room through control. You hold it open through your unwavering stillness. Feminine women cannot describe what they feel in that moment, but they feel it all the same. Some describe a sudden quiet inside themselves. Some feel more aware of their posture, their breath, their emotions. Others feel a strange desire to soften, to unmask, to lean. You do not speak a word, and yet they are moved. You do not perform, and yet they are pulled. What mesmerizes them is not your appearance, it is your permission. Permission to be present, permission to feel again, permission to return to the body. There is no game here, chosen one. No script, no pursuit, just presence. You don't enter rooms with a strategy, you enter with a fullness that spills over into the space like warm light. And when you do, even women who thought they were immune to awe feel something loosen in their chest. Something real, something ancient. Something that says, a man just entered, not a boy. Not a player. Not a shadow pretending to be a pillar. A man. And they don't just see you, they feel you in the deepest language of their intuition. In that moment, their curiosity is not a choice, it's a calling. Chosen one, the way you look at her changes everything. Not because you've studied how, not because you rehearse intensity, but because your gaze is clean. It is free of hunger and full of depth. You do not look to possess. You look to understand. And when your eyes find hers, something in her begins to shiver, not in fear, not in discomfort, but in recognition. Her soul remembers something through your eyes, something whole, something safe, something beautifully dangerous, because of how honest it is. You don't pierce through her with a stare. You hold her like a sanctuary does with silence. Your eyes do not strip her down to her body. They invite her entire being to rise. Feminine women are not mesmerized because you leer, but because you listen, and your gaze is how you do it. Most men look at women. You look into them, and you see without taking. That is what disarms her. That is what melts the fortress she forgot she was even guarding. You are not just gazing, you are offering your attention, your safety, your stillness, offering her a reflection of who she could be in the presence of a man who does not need to conquer her to feel like one. And in that moment, chosen one, she begins to unravel, not out of weakness, but because she can. Her mask slips, not because you demand it, but because she senses that her truth is welcome here. Her fire, her chaos, her softness, nothing is too much for you. You've seen the ocean before, you've weathered storms without retreat, and your eyes say, you do not need to edit yourself in my presence. That gaze becomes the door through which she walks into herself again. That's what mesmerizes her. It's not just your masculinity, it's your mastery of perception. The fact that you could hold your gaze with desire and dignity, with power and tenderness. She's never seen that before. She's seen hunger, lust, pride, but not this. Not a gaze that elevates her simply by receiving her. Not a gaze that says you are beautiful without needing to possess that beauty. When you look at her like that, chosen one, she forgets to play small. She forgets to perform. She forgets to hide. You don't break her open. You don't seduce her. You invite her with your eyes, with your breath, with your certainty. And when she steps into that invitation, into that gaze, she meets herself in ways she never knew she longed for. That is why she cannot look away. That is why she remembers you. That is why she'll always wonder what your eyes saw in her, because whatever it was, it made her feel more real than she's ever felt before. Chosen one, when you speak, it is not your words that carry the weight. It is the energy behind them. Your voice does not rush, does not compete, does not chase validation. You speak with the calm authority of a man who no longer needs to prove his value because he knows he already embodies it. You do not seek to impress. You speak to express. You express the truth of your grounded presence. And that, more than anything you say, is what mesmerizes the feminine. You do not fill silence with noise. You do not seek to dominate the conversation with cleverness. You speak as though your words are sacred, not because they are rehearsed, but because they come from a center that is unshaken. And when you do speak, chosen one, the atmosphere changes. Not because you are loud, but because your voice is anchored. You don't raise your voice to assert yourself. You lower it, and the world leans in. Feminine women don't feel seduced by your words alone. They feel safe in them. They feel your words touch places no noise has reached. Your tone is a home. Your silence is an invitation. Your sentences are not bait, they are bridges to intimacy, built slowly, with care. When you speak to a woman chosen one, you don't perform for her, you witness her. You aren't trying to appear interesting, you are already interested. You aren't trying to win her attention, you are giving yours fully, effortlessly. And in that contrast, she feels herself return. Most women live in a world of interruption, but when you speak and when you listen, you offer something rare, a pause that heals. You don't need to be right. You just need to be real. And in a world of pretense, your realness is a spark that ignites something ancient inside her. Your voice becomes something she looks forward to, not because of the content, but because of the presence behind it. You could say anything, and it would land differently, because your energy precedes your language. You've refined your essence so deeply that your voice now carries your soul. And that soul, it touches hers, even in casual conversations, even in passing comments, even in jokes or moments of silence. You make her feel like she's heard before she even speaks. You make her feel like she's worth being responded to without filters, without conditions, without agendas. She feels mesmerized, not because you speak to her, but because you speak with her. With a rhythm that invites her to soften, to breathe, to drop her defenses. You do not dazzle her. You ground her. And in that grounding, she finds herself glowing because the man before her has made it safe for her to shine. Chosen one, you have discovered one of the most intoxicating truths of masculine energy, that the deepest intimacy begins before the first touch. And feminine women can feel it. They feel it in your nearness. They feel it in your restraint. They feel it in the way you stand near them without reaching for anything, without needing to close the space too fast, without confusing closeness with claiming. You carry the kind of patience that amplifies desire, and in that patience, you invite a feminine heart to open on its own terms. There is a rare tension you create, not from manipulation, but from mastery. You are not absent. You are present with such fullness that the absence of touch feels like a brush of the spirit. You stand with her, not demanding closeness, but offering the purity of your stillness. And she feels her body awaken in your presence, not because you initiate, but because you withhold without withdrawal. You are close, but not consuming. You are present, but not pressing. You are magnetic, but not controlling. That paradox is the sacred tension that sets her aflame. You do not chase the moment. You tend to it. You let it bloom. You let the atmosphere speak louder than gestures. And so when her skin tingles in your presence, it is not because you touched her. It is because your energy already did. You have cultivated a force that wraps around her without ever reaching out. A gravitational field of inner discipline, a serenity so powerful that it evokes surrender without asking for it. This is not abstinence, it is reverence. You do not avoid intimacy, you deepen it with your awareness. And when she leans slightly closer, when she allows the air between you to shrink, it is not because you pulled, it is because your silence gave her permission to come closer on her own. You did not need to grab her attention. You created a space in which her attention longed to rest. The women around you feel this sacred tension and often don't know what to call it. Some call it mystery, some call it danger, others call it comfort. But what they're truly feeling is presence at its peak, the kind of presence that makes even the brush of your coat feel like a remembered dream. The kind of presence that makes them remember what it feels like to be cherished before being touched, to be seen before being claimed, to be prepared for rather than pounced upon. Your sexual energy is not loud, chosen one. It's not predatory. It's not performative. It is discipline in heat. It is the ache that remains sacred. It is the stillness of a man who has nothing to prove but everything to offer. And in that stillness, without laying a finger on her, you have already held her. You are not just beautiful, you are unforgettable. Chosen one, it is not what you say or what you wear or how you walk that creates the awe others feel. It is the sanctuary you carry with you. A man like you does not construct barriers to prove his power. You do not perform masculinity like a theater piece. You simply are. And in your being, you create space, not just physical space, emotional space, spiritual space. A field of resonance where the feminine finds rest without resistance. Women step into your aura and feel an unfamiliar calm, not because they are being told what to do, but because they sense that nothing needs to be done. Your presence says, you're safe here. You don't even need to say it. They feel it. You don't need to protect them with brute force because your energy is the fortress. Your energy has no sharp edges, but it cannot be penetrated. It welcomes without inviting intrusion. It shields without suffocating. In your presence, a woman can exhale, and for many, that alone is unforgettable. This is the rare power of a man who does not seek control, but whose self-control inspires trust. You do not react, you respond. You do not dominate a space with urgency, you fill it with stillness. And that stillness allows a woman to unfold. You are not impatient with her chaos. You do not punish her seasons. You honor them with awareness. You watch with unblinking presence. And in that watching, she does not feel judged. She feels witnessed. You are the kind of man who gives her space to become more of herself, not less. You create the invisible framework within which her emotions can breathe. And when her tears come, or when her laughter bursts like stars, you don't flinch. You are not afraid of her depth. You are not intimidated by her bloom. You are her atmosphere. You are her gravity. You are her mirror and her mystery. Chosen one, this is not something that can be faked. It cannot be copied. It is not a technique. It is a refinement of soul. You have emptied yourself of the need to control outcomes, and because of that, outcomes bend around you. You've become the container into which beauty spills. And women do not forget a man who makes them feel beautiful without touching them, who holds space for them without asking for anything, who stays grounded even as the world around him spins. You are not the storm. You are the silence that follows it. And in that sacred calm, the feminine sees you not as a man with potential, but as the home she's always searched for. Chosen one, the way you walk through the world is not casual, it is consecrated. You are not in a rush, and yet you always arrive exactly when you should. You are not loud, and yet the room shifts when you enter. You do not chase eyes, yet they follow you. Why? Because you are not just a man. You are a living memory, the embodiment of something women remember without having words for it. You are the forgotten dream of safety. You are the ancient echo of sacred union. You are the silent answer to questions they didn't know they were asking. They look at you and remember something they never experienced. A man who does not need to seduce to be seductive. A man who does not need to dominate to be dominant. A man who holds the primal without losing the divine. Your sexual energy, chosen one, is not vulgar. It is not base. It is not scattered. It is focused like light through a crystal. It does not wander. It does not leak. It stays. It watches. It listens. And because of this, women feel seen by you in ways they've never been seen. Not scanned, not sized up, seen, soul first, story second, and this makes your presence more than attractive. It makes it haunting. You do not pass through spaces unnoticed, you leave imprints. Not because you try, but because you live aligned with your truth. You are not looking to become someone. You are remembering who you are. And in that remembrance, women feel the stability they've never trusted. The honesty they never thought they'd find. The unwavering masculine that doesn't dissolve under pressure or expectation. You are not waiting to be picked. You have chosen yourself. You are not looking for completion in another. You offer completion through the way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you remain when others flee. And because you carry no hunger, you awaken hunger. Because you do not need to be validated, your presence validates everything around it. Chosen one, you have become a symbol in motion, a reminder of the rare, a vision of what women hoped existed but gave up on. And now, with every glance you hold, with every word you speak, with every still breath you take in their presence, they remember again. You walk through the world like an unspoken prophecy, not chasing anyone, not proving anything, just being, and by your being, transforming every room into a moment that will not be forgotten. Because when the feminine meets a man like you, she doesn't just meet a man. She meets a memory that her soul knew long before her mind understood. Chosen one, when you enter a space, you are not asking for permission to belong. You are not scanning the room for signs of approval, nor are you bending yourself into shapes to be accepted. You move as though the world has already embraced you, as though every step you take is written in the script of inevitability. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is the quiet authority of a man who has made peace with himself. And because of that, everything outside of him mirrors that peace. The feminine feels this long before she understands it. She may not be able to name why her shoulders drop when you walk near, why her voice softens, why her guard lowers without effort. It is because your energy does not fight for space. It is the space. You move like a river that already knows where it's going, not rushing, not straining, but flowing with a certainty that makes even the most restless heart want to match your pace. In a world full of men trying to prove their worth following, you simply lead by existing. You are not playing the exhausting game of convincing anyone of your value. You are not seeking recognition because you have already recognized yourself. And that is why women are mesmerized by you. They see a man untouched by the frantic need to be noticed. You are noticed because you don't need to be. That paradox draws them in like a gravitational pull, one they can feel even when you are not looking at them. There is a subtle majesty in the way you navigate life, chosen one. Your footsteps do not echo because they are heavy. They echo because they are certain. You do not enter a conversation wondering if your voice matters. You speak from a place where your voice has already been claimed by truth. That certainty is rare, and rarity in the masculine is intoxicating to the feminine. She feels her own worth mirrored in the way you carry yours. She feels her own beauty reflected in the steadiness of your gaze. She feels her own power validated in the calm way you acknowledge it without being threatened. This is why women lean toward you, why they angle their bodies unconsciously in your direction, why they begin to breathe in rhythm with you. You have nothing to take from them, and yet they find themselves wanting to give. You have nothing to prove, and yet you are the proof. You are the anchor in a room full of drifting souls. And the feminine will always gravitate toward the anchor that does not chain her, but frees her through his stillness. You move through life as though acceptance is not something earned but something carried. And in your presence, the feminine learns, maybe for the first time, that she too was born accepted. Chosen one, you have learned the art of silence, not the silence of absence, but the silence of deep presence. This is the silence that does not withdraw from connection but amplifies it. It is not passive, it is not empty, it is charged, alive, and magnetic. It tells a story without words, it invites without asking, it holds without clinging, and the feminine in her ancient knowing understands it immediately. When you sit in a moment and simply be, you are doing something most men cannot. You are letting the air between you and her breathe. You are not trying to fill it with chatter, not rushing to impress, not pouring your words into every gap like cement. You leave room, and in that room, she feels seen. In that room, she hears your unspoken confidence. In that room, she realizes she is not with a man who fears stillness. She is with a man who commands it. Your silence is not a void, it is an atmosphere. It tells her you are not dependent on her reaction to feel whole. It tells her you are not performing for her approval. It tells her you are rooted in something deeper than the surface exchange of compliments and glances. And because of this, she leans in. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. She wants to hear what you will say next, but she also wants to stay in the space before you say it. This kind of silence makes the feminine ache in a way she cannot explain. She begins to associate your presence with a kind of rest she doesn't find anywhere else. Even in the middle of a crowded room, even with music or conversation swirling around, she notices the bubble of stillness that seems to form wherever you are. And when she steps into it, time feels slower. The noise feels softer. The world feels less demanding. Chosen one, this is not a trick or a tactic. It is the natural byproduct of a man whose inner world is not in chaos. You have cleared the clutter from within, so the space around you becomes clear. You are not afraid of silence because you are not afraid of yourself. You are not afraid to pause because you know that true connection is not rushed. It is allowed. And so your silence becomes the rarest language, the one that requires no translation, the one that bypasses the mind and speaks directly to the feminine soul. She hears it without hearing it. She understands it without needing to explain it. And in her gratitude for it, she finds herself drawn deeper into you. For in your quiet, she feels the loudest truth. You do not need to chase to be desired.